So we can start this morning sitting on a block. Whatever position you find comfortable. So you could actually sit higher. You could sit in a more of a straddle position if you wished. Just a couple of minutes to settle ourselves. Find that neutral position in the pelvis. A little bit rocking around. Aids that usually. And then allow ourselves just to take the palms up. So as we breathe in, we bring a little bit more energy back into the body, closing the eyes. As we open the eyes, we'll take the arms out nice and wide. Just bring that left arm across, right arm underneath. Draw the arm across the chest. Stretch out the back of the shoulder. Breathe deep into the ribs. Now we'll float the arms out. Cross over the opposite way. And we'll release. Just bring the fingertips then onto the collarbones and angel wings. So elbows come together low. Draw them up. Breathing in, roll them back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. See if we can pop those elbows into the side of the ribs and then across the front of the chest. And lifting up. So getting a little bit of flexion and extension in the spine as well. So get a couple of rounds opposite direction. And let the hands come back down. We're going to move from there down to the ground. So I'm going to move the block towards the back of the mat, hands behind, and then just use the hands to guide ourselves down to the floor. Once you arrive, just let the spine lengthen out. We'll draw the knees in towards the body for Apanasana. So the knees are wide, hands are on the kneecaps. We're just painting circles. First few rounds, really gentle, just working on opening the hips. And then we'll take that in the opposite direction again as well with that. And then we'll go back to the first direction, but this time as you draw the knees in, draw the belly in and lift the tailbone towards you, just using your core muscles rather than your arms. A little squeeze, a little roll. So just starting to trigger your abdominal muscles and getting a little bit more work into the lower back. We'll take a last one of those as well. And then bring the feet to the floor, close to your bottom. We'll take the right leg up towards the sky. Take hands around the back of the thigh, interlace the fingers. Just press that hamstring into the hands. Flex foot. Sole of the foot presses up towards the ceiling. Draw the belly in a little bit. Draw the pelvis down. Now bring that foot back down to the ground. You can change that over to the second leg. Yeah, we'll bring that foot down as well. We'll take the arms out wide, crucifix style. Take the right leg up towards the sky and cross the leg over, so wrapping it around. And we're going to see if we can bring that right foot underneath the left calf as we draw the knees in towards the body. For those that can't, like I can't on this side, we're just squeezing the thighs together, wrapping the legs as closely together as we can. Take the right arm up towards the sky and the left arm over the top, belly draw down, so lower back is connected to the ground. We'll bring ourselves into those eagle arms. And we'll release the arms out. Untangle the legs. We'll take both legs up towards the sky, point the toes, aiming for 90 degrees-ish. So just again, working on the core muscles to keep the legs in position. Toes pointing. We'll squeeze the thighs together a little as well. One more breath here. And then we can bend the knees and bring the feet back in close to the bottom. We'll take that left leg up, wrap the leg over, use the foot underneath, knees over hips, draw the belly down. Left arm lifts, right arm over the top, then digging at the elbows, palms come together, and then draw the elbows down in towards the chest, and broaden the shoulders out. Keep the lower back connected to the ground. It will want to lift a little bit because of the weight of the pelvis, tilting forward from the legs, which are off the ground. And we can release from there, untangle the legs. Take the toes back up towards the sky again, the arms are out long. release those knees back down to the floor. And let's roll it over onto the right side. Use the hands to lift and come back up. So scoot ourselves around to the front of the mat. Come up onto all fours. So cat-cow. Just drawing the chest forwards when you're ready. And exhaling it back out. Rounding the upper spine. Broadening the shoulders out. Draw the belly into the navel. Towards the spine. And seeing if we can move this from tailbone. So it's the pelvis that allows the rest of the spine to move. Just roll the shoulders back a little bit. And then we're able to come into a wide leg child's pose. So we'll take the knees wide and sit back gently onto those heels. Feed the hands forwards. Elbows still off the ground. So taking a few breaths, just stretching the fingers as far forward as we can. And the tailbone back. The shoulders might open up a little bit more as you spend a few seconds here. So you can continue to walk the fingers forwards. And then we're going to lift up the head to look towards the hands. Walk the hands over to the right side so we can lay on that side. Ease ourselves down again, keeping the hands nice and widened out so they're a little wider than the shoulders. Again, just walking the fingers out to get as much stretch down the latissimus dorsi as you can. And lifting the head up again, taking it across to the final side. And then coming back into the center. Bring the hands a little bit closer in, back onto the mat, bring the knees underneath. Take a little breath from there. I'm going to move into down dog, so just roll the shoulders back a little bit. Draw the belly in, lift the knees, and then open out into our down dog. The first one of the morning. Take it gently. Allow yourself to walk the legs out if that feels good. Just remembering to have the feet about hip distance apart. Drawing the hips up and back. Checking the hands are nicely spread, fingers doing their bit to help balance, spreading the load. Pressing the hands down into the floor and pushing back gently. And then we'll come into a nice steady position. Feeling that chest drop as we lift the hips up. Press the heels towards the back of the mat rather than down. And then we're going to take it into scissors. So we'll bring the feet onto the center line and then just take that right leg up and point the toes, and we'll open out the hip to the side a little bit. And lift that foot down to the floor. And we'll swap leg A for leg B. Pointing the toes out, but try and keep the legs straight. So we lift up. Opening the hips out to the side, so we're changing the weight distribution through the shoulders a little bit so you can keep both arms strong. Last breath here. Bring that foot down. And then we'll take the feet hip distance apart again. Come up onto the tippy toes. And walk the feet into the front of the mat, into that forward fold. So small steps, let the body adjust. Get used to taking the weight through the shoulders. Let's lift. Easing into the breath. And up towards the front of the mat. Bring your hands onto the hips. Exhale to lift up. Inhale high. Bring hands in towards the heart. Now we'll bring the feet back together again so the toes touch, heels have a little bit of a gap. We're softening into chair pose. So I'm going to step back a little bit. So squeezing the thighs together gently. Going to shift the weight into the left foot. Right foot comes forwards, you point the toes out. So we want the quadriceps to feel like they're engaging a little bit on that right leg. And then we'll bring the foot back. Swap it over to the second side. So still pressing the thighs together. And then we'll bring that foot back in. Let the legs open out a little bit. Shake out. Hands in towards the heart. We're going to take a step out to the right. Nice big step. So take a little time to let the legs open. Toes are in a little bit, heels are out. Bring the hands onto the hips, so fingers are forwards, thumbs are behind, and then draw the elbows back. Get lots of space in the spine, hinge over the hips. And gently down to the floor. We're coming down halfway. Let's start with the fingertips on the floor for a couple of breaths. Really get those legs to work for you. So press the feet down, hips up, belly in. Very long spine. Drawing the belly in support. And then we're going to see if we can take the hands away from the floor without shifting the weight too much. And just taking the hands out wide, palms facing down. Just going to press down into the floor, push away, squeeze your thighs together. The more you do that, the more you feel like you're in control. If you kind of let yourself drop into it, it feels like everything's being stretched out for you rather than you going where you want to. Bring the hands back down to the floor. We'll walk the fingers around to the front of the mat. So the front foot is turned for us and we'll come into kind of like a warrior two-ish position. We'll bring the front arm on the left onto the left thigh. Turn the chest open to the right. And bring ourselves into extended side angle. And then on the exhale, press down through the shin and the thigh and the front leg to come into warrior two. We'll bring the hands above the head. Rotate slowly as we exhale. Lengthen out and down. And we're going to spin the back foot. Bring that foot in about halfway. Come right up onto the tippy toes. So straight leg. Straighten the front leg. Keep the fingertips on the floor. So we're coming into pyramid pose. But just an elevated version. Try and draw the chest forward a little bit. So we're not rounding the spine quite so much. Press very heavily into the ball joint on the front foot. So you're feeling the whole of the leg engage and lift up. Again, it's that feeling of being in control rather than gravity taking over for us. We're pushing away from it. Now soften the front knee just enough so that you can step in to the front of the mat. Bring the hands onto the hips, take a little breath and lift up. Bring the hands in towards your heart. And step out to the left and do the same again. Just going from the opposite side. So we'll take a little time to get those legs nice and wide. Take the arms out. And then bring the hands onto the hips. Squeeze the elbows as close together as you can. Hinge forwards. Halfway. Bring the fingers to the floor underneath, just on the fingertips. Allow yourself to play with the feet. Really start to press them down into the floor. Feel the inner thighs firing up for you. Send the tailbone back, the crown of the head forwards. On an exhale, slowly lift the hands away from the floor out wide. Ease the hands down to the floor. Walk the fingers around to the front end of the mat, turning the front foot. Bring that right thigh and forearm together. Turn the chest gently to the left. Take the hand up. Keep working into that back leg. Slowly press down into that front thigh. Warrior two, just balancing out the hips. And hands come above the head. Rotate. Lengthen out and down. Spin the back heel. Bring the foot in halfway, just as we did before, staying on the fingertips. So the feet are still a sort of hip distance apart the whole time. Lift up onto the tippy toe on the back foot. And then really start to work into the front leg. To lengthen that hip up. Draw the chest forwards as much as you can, be on the fingertips, so you can feel the belly draw in easily. Now trying to shift the weight a little bit towards the back of the mat. Keep the hips stable over the center line. Last breath here. Soften the front knee. Just step in gently into that forward fold. Let yourself sink down as you exhale. Bring the hands onto the hips and we'll slowly lift up, soft knees and a flat back. We'll inhale high with the arms this time, both hips. Through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. We're taking the right foot back and dropping the heel in. Bring the hands onto the front thigh to open up into warrior two. Inhale the hands above the head. Extend out and down to the floor. Step it back into plank, half plank, so the elbows bend. Boot laces change. Up dog as we breathe in, strong lengthening away. And roll ourselves back into our down dog. We'll draw the right knee into the chest and bring that through into the lunge. Onto the fingertips as we drop that back hip down a little bit towards the floor, pressing out through the heel. Push off the toes into a forward fold, drop in nice and deep. Hands come onto the hips. And we'll let ourselves lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale down. Taking the left foot back, drop the heel in for warrior two. Hands come onto that front thigh, lift up. Open up into warrior two. Inhale the hands high again. Rotate slowly, lengthen out. Keep the front knee over the ankle. Back into the high plank. Push forwards on the tiptoes for half plank. Boot bases change up dog. Breath in. Roll it back out. Down dog. So feeling of hollowing out the belly as it draws up towards the ceiling. And we'll draw the left knee and bring that foot through into the lunge. Again, just dropping the back hip into the floor a little bit. Chest lifts, spine lengthens. And then we'll push off the toes into the forward fold. Drop it in deep. Bring the hands onto the hips. Lengthen the spine and lift up. We'll take that one more time to each side, throwing a twist in. Hands come high. Exhale down. We'll take the right foot back. Allow ourselves to plant the right hand down to the floor. Take the left arm up into the lunge twist. Bring the hand down. We'll step it into the warrior two. So drop the heel in. Bring the hands onto the front side to lift. Open up. Hands come high. Breath in. Lengthen forwards. Long body down to the floor. Spin the back heel. Step it into the plank. Push forwards on the tiptoes. Inhale up for dog. To down dog. Exhaling back. We'll draw the right knee in. Bring the foot through. Lunge. Push off the toes into the forward fold. Drop in on that next exhale. Hands onto the hips as you soften the knees to lift up. We'll do that all to the second side. Hands lift up. Into the heart. Glasses go back on properly. Exhaling down. Left foot back. Take the right hand high. Strong back leg pressing out. Straight as you can get. You should be able to feel the buttock on the left side lifting a little bit as you press out. So we want it to activate. We'll bring the hand down to the floor. Drop the heel in ready for warrior two. Hands onto the side to lift up. Then draw the hands above head. Rotate slowly, lengthen out. Hands to the floor, spin it back into the plank. Come forwards. Lift up. And down dog. Almost roll the left knee in, bring the foot through. Final lunge. Press off the toes, drop in deep on the second exhale. Hands onto the hips, lift up. Put hands in the sky. Give it all a little bit of a shake out. So we're going to take standing eagle pose in a moment, but we're going to take a standing figure 4 beforehand. So we do the figure 4 quite often, lying on the ground, and seated version. This is just the elevated version. So bring the feet together. I'm standing kind of in the middle of the mat, just making sure you've got plenty of space around in case you need to step out. Hands coming towards the chest. And we soften the knees over the toes. Keep the body long. We'll take the weight into the right leg and start to lift the left foot off the ground. Now you're going to flex the foot. Allow yourself to take that foot to the outside, so the ankle bone is the outside of that right thigh. And the knee points down towards the floor. And then we're going to sit down a little lower. Keep the foot flexed. We're going to sit down a little lower. And then we'll let ourselves lift back up. And release the foot. Shake out the legs. Bring the toes back together again. Hands into the heart. And soften the knees gently over the toes. Find that place where you're happy with the weight in the foot. You kind of know what you're going to be needing out of that leg. This time the right foot's going to lift. Flexed. Move the ankle to the outside of the thigh, drop the knee down towards the floor, out to the side, and then sit down a little deeper. And a little deeper. I'm trying to keep the hips square to the front of the mat. Can turn off a little bit as we go through these. Let's slowly lift back up, release the leg, shake out the feet again. So we're trying to keep everything moving in that sort of forward direction. As you come into the pose and you sit down, there's a tendency to sort of twist out to the sides a little bit. So you're bringing the sitting bones back into the center line. So we're ready for our eagle pose. We'll bring the feet together, hands in towards the heart. Soften the knees over the toes. Take a little breath. And take the arms out wide. Lift into the supporting right leg, left leg lifts. Wrap the leg around. See if you can get the foot to go around the back of the calf. Bring the left arm across, right arm over the top. Bring the elbows in towards the body, palms together. Keep the spine long. And we'll release out. Shake it all out. One leg last to do. Hands in towards the heart. Soften the knees and squeeze the thighs together. Set yourself up. Hips are pointing forwards. Take the arms out wide. Slowly take that right leg up, wrap round. Sit a little deeper. Right arm first, left arm over the top. So bend, bring the elbows in. And we'll release out. Untangle the legs, whew, shake out the ankles, and then come back up to the front of the mat. Bring the hands in towards the heart. We'll take a little breath, hinge down to the floor. So feet are hip distance apart and parallel. We'll take a little breath from here. Allow ourselves to step back into our down dog. Come forward slowly into a plank. We'll bring the knees down to the floor. Spin the feet out to the side. Sitting back gently. Taking the legs out and moving the block back into position so we can just lift ourselves up gently into Dandasana. Staff pose. So squeeze the thighs together a little bit so there's internal activation, rotation going on. Feet flex back, we sit up nice and tall. Take the hands out to the side a little bit. Just a bit of a breather for sort of the upper part of the body, but the legs are still working pretty strong. Okay, we're going to move from here to Janu Sirsasana. So head, knee, toe pose. We'll bring the right heel in to the groin, let the knee come out to the side, square the hips, turn the leg in. Little bend in the knee, foot flexed, hands onto the shin, we lift up. Get as much height, because we're going to lengthen those hips over the thighs towards the front of the mat. We'll take the hands out onto the foot, draw the foot gently back. Let the head come into alignment with the spine, so we're trying not to drop it, but just think about where the spine is pointing to. Lifting the chest forwards and tailbone back, pressing out through the heel a little bit. And we'll release from there and bring ourselves back up. We'll take that to the second side. So left foot comes in, heel down, knee down, turn the thigh in, square the hips, little bend, shin with fingers, and then lift up. Fold over. And let ourselves reach out to the foot, draw it back. So there's helping pull the shoulders back a little bit, and the chest forwards. And then we'll release from there as well. Let ourselves come back up. So you can take the legs out in front just for a moment. And then we're going to swing them over towards the right side. So I'm going to lean out to the left, bring the left foot underneath first, and allow myself to bend that knee. I want the left thigh pointing down the center line. And take the right leg back, and that's 90 degrees to the side of the body. Shin goes out to the side. Foot extends out as well. I'm going to lean forwards just a little bit, as you can see. I'm bringing my hands a little bit more aligned with my knee. And then I'm going to start to ease the front foot forward, so the shin's hopefully going to follow the line of the mat on the front. Now, if you do that and this front knee is lifted off the ground, then you need to bring the foot back until you can get your knee down onto the ground easily. Once you've done that, we know the knee's going to be safe. You can walk out to the side a little bit, walk forwards, and start to bring your body back in towards the center line. You're basically lying on top of that front leg, which is why we wanted the knee on the ground, so that it's the thighs rotating and the knee is flexing and extending in a natural way rather than torquing it to the side. You can flex the feet if you want to add a little bit more. If you're able to get down right onto your chest and bring Your chin towards the ground, great. You might be a little bit higher than me, that's not a problem either, as long as you can feel it in your front thigh. You might feel a little bit of cramp in this rear hip on the outer side. Sometimes it gets a little bit of a surprise about being sent out there, maybe a little bit lonely. Draw the belly in, chest forwards. So it's called a fallen deer pose, because it's basically the deer pose but taken into a forward flexion. Take a little breath and use the hands to walk back up. I'll move out to the side again. Allow myself to use my hands to draw the legs in and lengthen them back out to the front of the mat. So just going to do the same again. Going to lean out to the right this time. Bottom leg hooks round. Top leg lengthens out, 90 degrees to the body. Come forwards a little bit. Rearrange the front leg. Lengthen out. Walk myself around gently. See how that feels on this side. So still drawing the belly in. Again, the option to flex the feet if you want to add a little bit more. We'll use the hands to walk back again. So I'll walk out to the side a little bit and then just draw the feet forwards, and we're going to move from here into Shavasana. So just shimmying along, hands down for a little bit of support, block under the back of the head, and slide a heel to each corner. Hands out by the side of the body. Just a couple of minutes, so it's a little bit short. Eyes closed and jaw soft. Let yourself yield to the floor. Let it all go. And we'll start to wriggle the fingers and toes. Get a little movement into the wrists and the ankles. Breathe a little deeper into the ribs. Take it in for stretch. And then slide the heels back in. Find a little hug, rock and roll, whatever feels good. And then we'll roll on to the right side, taking a breath on the floor. And using the exhale to lift back up. Rolling it into seated position. Long spine, hands into the heart. Take a breath in. Closing the eyes, we drop the chin. Draw the belly to the spine. Let ourselves bow to the floor to seal the practice. Inhale, let the spine lift with the breath. Head lifts, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me this fine morning. Have a lovely rest of the day.